once more the next episode of Script Happens from Writers Guild, and I'm Bongi Ndaba, and I am with Sizwe, Zuma next to me, who is a writer. We are bringing you another exciting episode talking all things writing. So Sizwe, welcome.
Thank you so much, Bongi.
I will not introduce Sizwe myself. He can introduce himself. By the way, Sizwe is also an actor, but we're not here about acting. This is not saga. This is about writers. So here we are. I have nothing against saga, I'm just saying.
No, do not.
So welcome, Sizwe. Please introduce yourself to the people and what you do and when you started and where you're going.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sizwe Fortune Zuma. I'm sure you've seen credits on your screen written by. I'm an actor and I am a writer. I've been in the industry, informally since 2003. So it's been like 23 years or whatever, if I calculate my maths properly, 22 years or so. And I have been formally in the industry working since 2006. And I'm also part of the Writers Guild. I'm heading advocacy in the Writers Guild.
Sizwe is also a lecturer. He also teaches in
Advanced
University. So put some respect on that. So we're here to explore and talk about things that are about writing.
Yes.
And so that is why we have Sizwe, because he's a writer, I'm a writer. These are the two writers sharing and the experiences. And also we're talking about, most people always ask writers who they've seen their names on TV, because we are the people behind the scenes, and people say, how can I get in? What do I do? What do I write? How do things work? So Sizwe is here to just break all of it down. What is a story that you are writing, if you want it for commissioning, or you want it for licensing, or for pre-sale, or you just want to do it yourself, which is independence, which
Exactly.
you can do. You can do that, raise
Anything
money by
that you
yourself, anything that you love. So that is what we are talking about today. As a writer, yes, of course, there's other elements of who's your producer,
Yes.
who's your this, who's your that, who's your director, who's everything else. But right now, we're just talking writing stuff.
Yes. So, let's start at the beginning. So, firstly, my question is, are you a writer or are you not a writer? Are you a writer because you've got a credit behind your name, or are you a writer because you are a storyteller?
Yeah.
You know, I think most of us were writers because we were writing from the days of journaling at school. They say they say, dear diary. Hey, we are from that generation. Or you say, dear diary, this is what I did today. You know, so firstly, you need to ask yourself, you mustn't, ask yourself why you actually want to get into the career of writing. Is it because you think there's money, or is it because you are a writer? And you will find that a lot of us are writers, even though we don't have the formal training, because what the formal training will give you is the skills and expertise, the rules of writing and all of that. But when are you a storyteller or not? That's the first thing you need to ask yourself.
I think that's such a great point, Sizwe, because I love that point, because I've heard so many people, they want to get into writing because you're going to get paid.
Yes.
And I've always said, if you're not a storyteller, if you're not a born storyteller, then you are just a typist. If you're just going to write because somebody's going to pay you.
Exactly.
Because writers, storytellers, they wake up wanting to write something.
Exactly.
Whether you are paid or not.
Yeah.
Writers write.
Writers write.
If you are not writing and you are waiting for a job, you are holding on that one idea,
Yes.
and you are waiting for somebody to take your idea, or you are waiting to be hired by somebody, question yourself, are you really a writer or just a person who's looking for a job?
Exactly. Because with me, I got into the industry, and then I first started behind the scenes. I worked from the bottom, from being a production assistant, from being the guy when coffee has spilled. You are the one that needs to bring the mop and clean so that the actors or the crew members don't slip and fall. even that coffee, you are the one that makes it.
Yeah.
If they need to send someone to go and buy something quickly, they throw the car keys at you. So when I entered the film and TV, I don't know how it's like on set anymore because we write more now.
Yes.
I usually go on set when I'm acting. I don't really get to interact and find out the politics. But it was ran like the military. There was hierarchy on set, and you knew that no one sits down. When we are recording, when we are shooting, you are just on your feet, the whole time and all of that. So that's how I entered the industry. But then I started trusting my own ideas.
Yeah.
The first thing that I wrote was a film called Iskalenska Ntombela. I was not writing it for the SAPC. I was not writing it for a producer. I was writing it for myself.
Yourself, yeah.
Because I wanted to test, can I actually do this thing? And I told the story, and then I got a private investor to come on board, and he said, I love your idea, I love your concept, and then from there we cast, and the rest is history. And I've won about 13 awards internationally for that thing, even though it hasn't aired in South Africa because of the politics.
But before we get to that, how did you, so now you had the story.
Yes.
So did you go out there and look for someone who can help you to produce the story that you have?
I didn't.
So how did it happen?
So I think for me, having worked behind the scenes, I could see, okay, this is what a line producer does.
Yeah.
This is like what a production manager does. This is what... So I actually, yes, I went to film school, but I also went on set. And another thing also, Bongi, people are always asking us for opportunities.
Yeah.
As if, we've got the hiring and firing power. I approached... the first gig I had was Sevendeland. I approached them and I said, I want to come and I want to train for free.
Yes.
For free.
Yes.
I was working, and during that time, it was 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. I would go, and I didn't have a car, so I would take a taxi, like the first taxi out of my township in the morning, go to Joburg, and then in Joburg, arrive ngaboma 6, and then... take a taxi to Lone Hill Studios, and then I would get off at the wherever, and then from there at 6:30 it was blocking. The actors were blocking and they were rehearsing, and I was already there. When other people are still waking up, I'm already there. You know what I'm saying?
The advantage about that is also that you learn everything. I also worked behind the scenes a lot. I was working behind the scenes knowing that my passion is writing.
Yes.
I was writing.
Yes.
I was already writing in theater. I
Yes.
was writing plays. So, but I didn't know TV.
Yeah.
So, but I was working behind the scenes. But you go home, you write your story.
Yeah, you write your story.
It doesn't matter that I'm a runner or I was doing mostly continuity. I was doing continuity, but I was writing because I was a writer from way back, from when I was like 11 years old. So, but at that time when you were learning other things, what I'm saying is that learning, people mustn't take it for granted. Because it also informs you as a writer.
Yes.
It's a skill that you pick as well.
Exactly.
I see with continuity, I'm very sharp with continuity when it comes to stories.
Yes.
No one can beat me on that.
Yeah.
Because I did continuity as a continuity lady. So my brain was trained with that.
Exactly.
As much as I'm writing now, I'm not doing continuity anymore. But continuity, I'm very good at it in the writing.
And to be honest, Bongi, continuity is one of the best entry points. But unfortunately, not everyone has access to start there. Obviously, because nobody trusts you, nobody knows you from a bar of soap. It's only when they get to learn who you are that they ask, what are you actually interested in? And then but continuity is so great because you pay attention to the detail of the story.
Everything.
You look. It's beyond just the clothing. When he entered the door, he was wearing a blue T-shirt, and then now they're picking up on a different day. But it needs to look like it's the same day on television. He's wearing a red T-shirt and what. But you also look at the emotional continuity in the story.
Continuity.
The story continuity.
Yes. It helps.
It really helps. And also as a director, I think, Mina, for me, even if they were to say, okay, all the writing jobs for the year are done, maybe scripts are written for the next 3 years, I could put you as a director.
Yeah.
Because you've been in continuity.
I have. That's
why
I
I'm
directed
saying?
As well. It
Exactly.
makes it easier.
It makes it so easy because the training is there and people undermine that. People just want to rock up and then all of a sudden, they think it just happens like a trick.
a storyliner, you're a writer, you're a producer from nowhere.
From nowhere, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, you can have a degree because all of us sitting here,
we've got degrees.
Guys. We've got diplomas and degrees. It's multiple. But it's the work that makes you. It's the work that you do. It's the experience, gaining that experience. And yes, the foundation of education.
Yes, it's
we
very
have
important.
to encourage it.
Yes.
It's very, very important. We're not undermining that, but that is foundation.
It's foundation.
Yeah.
And you know, after having learned, school is gonna give you the foundation, but it's gonna take years. You need to also put in the hours. You need to put in the time. You know, and. Another thing that I wanted us to get into, and we will a bit later, is the notion that they think, oh no, South African writers are flat. All the stories look the same. Everything, there's nothing wow about it. And because you're a writer, you're a Bongi Ndaba, I can now flood your emails with my story ideas because you don't have ideas of your own. That's the assumption that the people have. Can't you know, guys? Like there's a certain rite of passage that you need to go through. So in my journey, I started there. I started at school, and then from school I volunteered, and then from volunteering, then I put in the work for the number of years until I ended up in the writing room.
But also that control that you talk about, because it is control. If I am writing for a soapy, people need to understand it's a genre.
Yes.
If I'm writing for a telenovela, it's a genre.
It's a genre.
If I'm writing for a drama, depending what genre that drama is, it is a horror drama, is it a comedic drama, is it a thriller?
Yes.
Those then becomes the style of how you write those things.
Write.
But also the main thing, then it's like, who is that drama or whatever you are writing, or a soap or a telenovela belongs to?
Yes.
Because now you're speaking to a channel.
Yes.
They want a story done a certain way.
Exactly.
So when people say, these writers and whatever, sometimes
they don't understand.
You are limited by, this is what the channel wants.
Exactly.
I mean, not even sometimes, all the time.
All
basically.
the time.
Let's not lie about it.
We always
it depends on the person who pays the money.
Exactly.
Is gonna control the story.
And
yes, not that you must be lazy as a writer and blame the channel. No, we're not saying that. But you must make sure that whatever they want, then you make it stunning through your creativity. Because some of the things that they say, let's admit, we don't agree with them. We don't agree with how this character you want it to be. But they will tell you that we know our viewers, we know who we're talking to, we know our target audience. Which half the time
they do not.
You know, and so you have to follow that. But that is commission.
Exactly.
Because that's what we want people to know. There's commission. When you are commissioned and somebody's giving you money, 90% of the time, you're going to write what they want.
Exactly.
Whether you fight and you roll on the floor, or you swear, or you do whatever. If you want the money? But if you want the money, you are in commission, you're going to do what that person who has paid you wants.
Exactly.
But my thing is that even if they dictate to you,
you still have to
be creative and hold that as if you're a great writer, you will still hold that and make it entertaining, even if they control it, because yes, you're going to be controlled.
Yes. I mean, there's a feature film that I was writing a couple of years ago. It went to the big screen. It's currently on Showmax. I'm not here to promote my work, but I'm just making an example of what you said. The producer, when he approached me, he said he wants the ending to be to be in such a way that the main character was having a dream, but the main character needs to be underneath the water, and then like blow a little bit of a bubble, and then come out of the water and be like, and I'm like, so are you saying that this character has been underwater all the time throughout the dream? And I was like, no, it's not gonna work. But what I did, because that's what I want to prove what you just said, or confirm it. What I did, I said, I'm gonna give you your version, your ending, and then I'm gonna give you my version to show you that it's not laziness to write. So I wrote two different types of endings, and I said you can choose. And then he came back and said, you know what, you were actually right. It does not make. You know what I'm saying? So those are the battles that we fight. But to go back a bit, So how the industry, because we're talking about the scope of the industry, how the industry works is that you have an idea. Ubongi has an idea of this great story. If you don't mind, we can make reference to some of your work.
Yeah.
Some of the dramas that you came up with and went, like for instance, the estate, right?
Yes.
The estate.
Erased.
Erased was something else.
It was.
So then you come up with that story. Ne? Then you take your proposal to the channel, because again there are these portals that are open. Sometimes the SAPC will say, submit your ideas to this email address, and then they tell you the things that you need to submit, like your log line. We're not going to get into that today because we're not teaching writing, but the log line and the character bio, your synopsis, what it's about, and all of that. They tell you what, and then maybe the first episode, I don't know, goodbye tape level, but they also want the first episode. Sometimes you need to have written like the entire treatment and the first episode. You submit all of that to channel. Channel likes it, right? But when as Ubongi, you had this idea and it was great, and you know how your characters are and what. Now that it lands to the channel or in the channel's hands, then the channel will say, okay, fine, we like your story, Bongi. We're going to commission you. We're going to give you maybe 11 million to produce this thing. Not for you. It's your 11 million for coming up with it. No. They're going to give you 11 million for development, for production, and for post-production, for everything. They're giving you that 11 million. Then that idea now, since they are paying for it, it no longer belongs to Bongi Ndaba. It belongs to the channel. It is the proper, that's how things work in South Africa. Yes, we're trying to change that, but that's how it works currently in South Africa.
You don't own commission.
You don't own, even if you came up with it.
Yeah, they paid 100% for it. You don't own commissioned work. And to add on that, I always say, because people get frustrated, like, it's my story, I should. So if you want a story that can be commissioned because you don't have money, write a story that you can let go.
Yes. Yeah.
Give them a story that you
are not too precious about.
You're not too precious about.
Yeah.
If it's your precious stories, that one thing that your ancestors gave you, your God gave you, you believe in it, that you just want to do it your own way, raise the money for that by yourself.
Yeah.
Don't go ask for commission, because you're going to fight with people.
And you know why? And that's the next point that we're getting to. Oguchi, the minute they pay for it, then there's what we call commissioning editors, right? Yeah. Commissioning editors sometimes are not necessarily writers, but they are film school graduates who understand film and whatever, and they are the trustees of the channel. They work for the channel, so they will come into the writing room during development, and then the commissioning editors will then superimpose their ideas on the thing. So they hold your hand and they tell you, no, don't write this like this, don't write this like that, and whatever.
Because that's also their job.
Yes. Don't do things like this, because they come with the assumption that they understand their audiences, because the audience of channel A is not like the audience of channel B and whatever. Then they tell you what to write and how to write it. So when your job then as the head writer is to make sure that you retain quality in the story. But by the time we finish development, it's nothing like the story that you went to pitch to channel.
Yeah, usually it's like 80% of the time it's not the story that you pitched. Yeah. It has changed into something. Like I was saying before, you have to make sure that you're still proud of it. You're still proud of what you've done. Mm-hmm. So you must still put the creativity on it.
Yes.
But on the other layer to add to that, you must also know the channels that you are pitching to.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about the dramas that I've done. When I did Erased, mm-hmm. and I'm not saying this to disrespect other channels.
Yes.
I would have never done Erased the way I did Erased.
Yeah.
It was raw, it was gritty, it was truthful. The characters were not polished.
Yeah, they were not.
I would have never done that show for Showmax. I would have never done that show for SABC. They would have said no, even for ETV.
Yeah.
Because it was very too gritty, it was too raw.
Gratuitous.
It was the thing that sex workers experience.
Yeah.
Because we had interviewed a whole lot of sex workers, and we had done so much research, and we didn't want to polish the way they told it to us. And water it down.
Yeah.
But for certain channels, you have to water things down. And they have their reasons for that.
Yes.
Their reasons for that. I mean, SABC, they're
a public, I was about to say.
broadcaster.
So they are responsible.
Yes, because the viewers
yeah.
are going to write back and say, what is this?
Yeah.
But we were doing Erased for Moja Love.
Yeah.
Moja Love is much more risque.
Yeah.
So I could only do that story at Moja Love.
Yeah.
So you have to know also the channels that you go to.
Mm-hmm.
Don't force something that doesn't work. Yes, you can push the envelope with other channels, but not so much. They're very restrictive because of many reasons, business reasons that they have. They will restrict you. So don't think that, oh my God, they hate me.
No,
just
nothing
know.
to do with you.
Or if you have that story that you want to do anything about it, then raise money and just do it yourself.
Like Minis Kalens Kantombe, there's an element of violence there. And usually when you write for a public broadcaster, there is a girlfriend, Lapayana, who gets beaten up by the boyfriend and whatever. And then like life goes on, right? Yeah. But if I was writing it for the SABC, I was going to have to make the character to pay the repercussions. Yes. So I'm also saying, in real life, sometimes people don't pay. They don't necessarily have consequences of their actions. It happens in other means, maybe. But sometimes the justice system fails them. But we're not allowed to say those things in platforms like the SABC. And I've also heard, during the time of load shedding, thank God it's much better now. Even though it's happening, but there was a time when it was horrible. We were not allowed to write about that on screen.
Yeah.
We were not allowed to write about it on screen. So there's a lot of restrictions when you write for channels. So it's not like Bongi Ndaba is not creative.
No.
Or Sizwe Zuma is not creative, right? Most of what
they always
written,
blame the writers.
They always blame
us.
Yeah.
They don't. Also, the understanding. There's an understanding also, even for the viewers, of understanding where, because they even blame like locations and stuff. Sometimes, yes, you want to do a KZN story, but you're going to shoot it in Joburg.
Yeah.
And that has to do with money. Because even if the channel is giving you the money, that money is not enough for you to take a whole crew and actors to KZN or to the Eastern Cape. There is just no money.
Yeah.
So you find places where you can cheat it and do that. But it's not because the writers are stupid or they're not creative enough. It's because of money situations. Sometimes the money is just not there.
Exactly.
And we do the best we can with whatever we have.
So the whole commissioning editor thing, right? It's both good and bad. It's got its advantages and it's got its disadvantages. The disadvantages is that sometimes a commissioning editor does not understand writing. They don't understand character journeys. They don't understand certain story elements. And then they will tell you to change things which will compromise the story. Like in the long run will really compromise the story. But sometimes they are great storytellers. Sometimes they come up with brilliant ideas. So it really depends who you get. So for me, what I would advocate for is for channels to really get commissioning editors who are storytellers, not just filmmakers who are film graduate, but people who have experience in writing, who understand what really writing is.
So that we can go on a journey
together. That we can go on a journey together, and it's not a power trip.
You're saying. It's very important, because here's another thing that always confuses me, is that, yes, you've pitched an idea, and then there's development.
Yes.
Development is where the relationship happens.
Yes.
Let's work together.
Yes.
It shouldn't be a top-down thing. Like, okay, I must just do
which is usually
anything that you are saying. It should be, let's work together kind of thing.
Yes.
Because when it's a work together kind of thing, trust me, the story is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Writers, especially great writers, good writers, they're writers for a reason.
Yeah.
They know. They really, really know. They're not stupid.
Yeah.
And they're not trying to embarrass the channel. You don't get commissioned and be like, oh, I'm just going to do mediocre work.
Yeah.
I'll do whatever I want. Nobody gets commissioned and decides I'm just going to do whatever.
Yeah.
You want to do your best.
Exactly.
So that's why that relationship needs to be really work.
Exactly.
And be about, we all want this thing to be amazing.
And that's why channels need to actually select their people, because sometimes they take a person who knows and who is a specialist in reality and they put them in drama. And then that person, and you find that the person doesn't really have the ideas and what, and then they decide to go on a power trip because they represent channel. And then now she has got like 30 years experience. I graduated last year and I went through a program and what. Now I'm telling Bongi, which no, change this. And then, then things get compromised in that regard. So I think even with channels, they need to understand the people that they hire so that we can have great television in South Africa. And also
have really amazing television because we do have great writers. But I can tell you now, most writers are frustrated. I have never spoken to a writer who's not frustrated.
Yeah.
They're all frustrated because you feel like you're not heard.
Yeah.
And because you are commissioned, you're just like, okay, I'll do what they want. And the moment, for me, that scares me because I'm a writer. The moment I hear a writer say, I'll do what they want, trust me, it's going to be mediocre.
Yeah.
Because now I'm just going to do what you want me to do.
Exactly.
I'm not going to put myself, I'm not going to put my creativity because you are not accepting it. I'm just going to do what they want. Whereas the word development is for the fact that we must work together to make it amazing. We must argue. We must not agree with each other. We must do that because something that's going to come out of there is going to be so amazing.
And a typical example of that, some years ago, Busi and I worked on a project together. The project was, we wanted to make something that looks like the Umbrella Academy. Also, this thing of referencing Western things. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that because we also have a bone to pick.
I also don't like it because we don't have money to match that. So what's the point?
So we wanted to do something that is gonna show spirituality and wara, and we decided, okay, fine. Are we going the superpower route like the Marvel? A person who's able to lift up this house with one hand and whatever, like your Superman and all these superpower people with superpowers, or are we gonna go with African realism, magic realism, or whatever, African spirituality where we've got creatures like Inkanyamba, we acknowledge they exist, Utigoloshi exists, witches fly with brooms and what. And we agreed with Channel when we started with these are the rules of the story and everything. But when it came to script, they started saying, no, change this, remove the superpowers. Our audience is not ready for this. Our audience, it wasn't really a money thing. It was partially, yes, but we would have been able to pull it off because it's not always about the money. But I do feel like a lot of people, as much as we like to tell stories of witchcraft in South Africa and all of that, the reason why a lot of podcasts are buzzing with millions of views is because South Africans want to be true to themselves. They want to, because they relate with the story of they relate with the story which Ubani died.
Real.
Yeah, Ubani died and they found out a few days later they didn't bury the corpse. But and they are being kept somewhere. You can never tell that in a drama series.
But don't you think that stories like that, because I believe, this is me, because I'm very hopeful about South African industry.
Yes.
I think we're going to burst and we're going to be
I think
beautiful.
so too. That's why we're still here.
But don't you think that for that project, it wasn't supposed to be a commission? Because also when you look from Channel point of view, they also get scared because they are a numbers people. They think about the bottom line. This is business.
Yeah.
They are a numbers people. So they get scared like, oh, what if it doesn't land?
Yeah.
What if it doesn't whatever? I always think that projects that go out of the norm, rather you like it's a license or an independent that you do yourself, so that when you license, then they will get used, channels will get used to, like, if they've licensed something and it makes numbers, because I believe it would have made numbers, because they do, because those stories do make numbers, because people relate to it, especially if it's well executed. But I think we are so desperate, channels are desperate for those numbers that they want to sit in the comfort zone of, like, this work.
Yes.
Everybody must sit in that comfort zone, of which I understand when it comes to a business side of things, which is where maybe also as creatives, we must teach ourselves the business and get into the business of, like, not everything can be commissioned.
Yeah.
Some of the things you must just think, I must raise money for.
So our industry mostly is, unfortunately, like you're saying, the commissioned side. It's more television than it is film.
Film, yeah.
And a lot of writers are depending upon the backbone of television.
Maybe if you work with a proper business person, a producer says, if we make 3 episodes of this or 4 episodes of this, because that's your beginning, you can do that and have collaborations from all over. And I think that is the part where we're still very scared of, as creatives in South Africa, of collaborating with each other.
You know what I think the biggest problem though is, and I totally agree with you, but I think the biggest problem is that even from, as I'm talking as a lecturer in film school, we don't really have courses for distribution.
Yeah.
We only have courses for practitioners. We teach people to become directors, to become writers. This is what the art production design or art department is. This is post-production. But we don't really teach people to become the next Netflix, to become the next multi-choice, to become the next Stay Kineko. And I think when we start to reimagine the industry like that, then it's going to open up automatically.
Don't you think, though, as a person who works in an institution at Wits, don't you think it's also the what we've inherited from apartheid? Because apartheid, they were teaching especially black people
to become laborers.
And now even our education is teaching us that, to become laborers. I know a lot of children who are coming from after who are taught, I'll look for a job. Whereas our industry say, you create a job for yourself. It's not, I look for a job.
Exactly.
Yes, there is that you're going to get a job. Somebody will hire you. But it's not, it's creating. Because even finding the person who will employ you, it's because you have done something for yourself to be seen.
Yes.
Which is also what you were saying in the beginning of writers. You mustn't always sit and be like, I'm waiting to be employed. For me, the way I got into television, the way I got even to continuity, is because I was still writing in theatre. And I wrote a play that was taken by the Market Theatre. And it happened that whoever came to watch the play
was in television.
There were people in television. I didn't know. I was not even there because I was not performing in the play. I was only a writer of the play. But people watched that play and they went like, oh my God, this could be a story that could be on television. And I'm saying I was not even there. I was not even in theatre. So your work actually spoke for you. It speaks for yourself. You must keep doing stuff. You must keep writing. Like I said, and I'm not meaning to be rude when I say, if you're a writer who's waiting to be employed, then you're a typist.
Yeah.
You are just typing.
Yeah.
But if you're a storyteller, you are always writing something. You never stop creating, because that's your life. A soccer player doesn't wake up and say, I'm waiting for Kaizer Chiefs
they go to the gym.
hire me. They go to the gym. They run on the road. If they don't have, there's kids in the townships and rural areas who know that they're passionate about soccer, and they run around barefooted because they're passionate about soccer. And by the time they're big soccer stars, they're telling us a story of like, oh, you don't know how I started. It was this and this and this. But now you find people who get out of film school and they're like, I must find a job. It's not a place of like, I must find a job. It's a place of like, what are you doing?
Yes.
What are you doing to be seen out there?
And that's actually what I'm trying to advocate for, even in tertiary institutions, to say, let us develop a course for distribution. What is distribution? And it's broad.
Please encourage it more.
Yeah.
And also a business course in our institutions for artists.
For artists.
Don't just do a BA in dramatic arts that has no business. You have a BA in dramatic arts. What is it going to do?
What is it going to do for you?
You just have a BA in dramatic arts. You know nothing about business. I think that institutions themselves, they need to change and teach business as part of the whole thing.
Yes.
Because that's what it is.
That's what it is.
I learned very late in my life, and thank God, because I was in theatre. In theatre, you are always a business, because it's your body and your voice and your brain.
Yeah.
So in theatre, you are always a business. We always like, let's create something, let's improvise and whatever. And that was the mindset of teaching, like, do things for yourself. There's things that you must just do. Exactly. And I think that institutions need to change that mindset. Like I say, I believe that it's a apartheid thing that we've never changed.
We've never changed, and I think it's not necessarily on certain institutions, like for instance, like VETS or whatever. But I think generally our education system in the country,
even in schools,
yeah. it teaches us to become employees.
We're employees.
You know, so really we do need that business aspect as writers, as creatives. And also if we have like proper people who are gonna say, Mina, I'm getting into this thing to become a distributor. That's what I'm going to film school for. It's really going to make a difference.
But even if you are an employee, because not everybody has the passion, because you need a passion as well to get into business, to say, okay, I'm going to be a distributor. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to be on the business side of this. But even if you are an employee, once you have business, you being an employee, you know how to play the game because you understand that you are a business. So we all need it. We all need it because even when you are employed, this is when you know how to negotiate, you know your worth.
Yeah.
Because some of us learn our worth inside the industry. You have to know your worth
to talk about that.
And believe in yourself, and that takes. What were you taught? What were you taught when you were studying? Because you have to know your worth. Not that you're going to be rude to people or anything, but you have to know your worth. But also you know how to present yourself. Even take, like, for example, I learned pitching when I was pitching to channels. I learned it on my feet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are these things not being taught?
Yes.
Because you have to practice it, because that's the business side. Even if you want to be employed, you still have to pitch yourself.
You still have to pitch yourself. Evans, there is a business course, but you take it, if you are in the arts, whether you're doing drama or music, they call it performing arts management, which I think is great. But I do think that we need to incorporate it in the curriculum.
In everything.
It shouldn't be an elective. It shouldn't be something that other people choose. Whether it shouldn't be something that is optional to say if you want it, you can add it on your program and whatever. But it should be something that's there. But moving on. Let's touch a little bit on the references. Which most of the time, channel also feels safer when they have seen something work. Like, for instance, they want to localize Everybody Hates Chris.
Yes.
The one that I was writing, it's called Fathers and Sons. And guess what the reference is? It's called 3.5 Men. You know what I'm saying? So in South Africa, personally, I feel like we haven't found our own voice yet.
But that's the
we
fear
are trying.
As well.
Yeah,
that
we are trying to we always replicate an American whatever, something that's been done before, but we want to localize it because even our local people liked it when it was done there.
I think that is the fear, but I also think it's not trusting ourselves, especially as South Africans, but mostly as Black South Africans, because I've seen shows, American shows that come on Apple or Netflix, Global or wherever, that are not South African shows, and I specifically know there's this one called it's got Kim Kardashian, All Fair, whatever. I know as someone who pitched a show like that, but they were told that it's not going to work.
Yes.
There is South Africans who come up with shows. I know a person who pitched the show like, what is that one, the gospel one, was done by Greenleaf.
Yes.
Way before.
Yeah.
Way before Greenleaf came. Yeah. But no one in the channels trusted that. And I think that we do not trust it. We're not like Nigerians. Nigerians can do anything.
Those ones, they just
even if it's rubbish, they will do it because they have confidence.
Yeah.
South Africans don't have the confidence.
We don't.
And we doubt each other. Yeah. It's like, why don't you take it and see if it would work?
Yes.
And then comes the American Greenleaf. Yeah. And then comes the American.
And then all of a sudden now we want to go towards that direction.
We want to go towards that direction. All of us now are doing that. Like no one in South Africa has ever thought about it.
Exactly.
And that's the undermining that comes from the gatekeepers.
And the
it's like, trust
system.
The people. A person is gifted to be a writer for a reason.
Thank you.
They are creative.
Thank you.
They come up with stuff that maybe you've never seen before, but you're waiting to a stamp from America. Then that show becomes popular. Empire happened in America, and everybody now wanted to copy Empire. But I
Even
tell you
in South
now,
Africa right now,
yes, copying Empire.
gosh.
But there was someone before American Empire happened.
Yeah, boo.
There was someone who had
was
that
declined.
idea and was declined. And all the time when I see those American shows, I always, because I've been here for long, I
course.
always know someone who pitched the same
Something
idea,
similar.
but they said no. I remember when I pitched a story about a love story in rural areas, because I'm a rural girl. And one of the commissioning editors at SABC, this was a long time ago, that person is no longer at the SABC. It was a love story, and she's like, no, rural girls don't behave like that. It could never happen. And I was like, inside, because I can't be rude in the room.
Like,
And I was like, you're talking to a rural girl.
thank you.
What I'm writing is what I know.
Yeah, and what I've lived.
How can you tell me that rural girls will not do that? You are talking to one I know. Because there's this belief, especially before, there was this belief of like, oh, rural girls, they're submissive, they this and that, they this and that. And now because this rural girl stood up for herself, and also she was, in a word, promiscuous, but she was assertive.
Yeah.
Then that's why they didn't believe it. They didn't take it. And I see shows like that now happening, and I'm like,
Exactly.
I was
Because-
way ahead of them at that time, because it's exactly the same thing I pitched, and I was told to my face, rural girls, no, it doesn't depict rural girls. And I'm like, I grew up there.
Exactly.
How can you say it doesn't happen? Because I know it happens.
And the interesting thing is that Americans are no longer fixated in those methods anymore.
No.
Because if you watch like a Netflix something now, you'll find that the first episode will be like an expository episode. It could be something that happened in the past, and then the second episode would be about where what this series is actually all about. And then the third episode, it's about something totally
else. Maybe it's the background
different. It's
of the
like the
character.
background and
They
whatever,
just go
whatever,
somewhere
whatever.
else.
You know what I'm saying? So Tina here would never do
Never.
that.
They will tell you no. Our viewers will be confused. That's the
Yeah.
other thing, is undermining our viewers. It's like, oh, our viewers will not understand that. I'm like, South Africans are brilliant.
They're brilliant. And that's why
Actually-
they go watch these things.
Actually, I think viewers are more brilliant than us.
Thank you.
They're brilliant.
Exactly.
And then when I hear in the room being told that, oh, our viewers will not understand that, I'm like, which viewers are you talking
It's probably
about?
it's probably you who will not understand, maybe
Yeah.
because you're slow,
But-
but the viewers are not slow.
They're so brilliant. I mean, I talk to a lot of people, even my family, they are really not in the
Film,
industry.
yeah.
They're not even close to what I do. But when they watch something, the way they analyze it,
Yeah.
they might not use
The
film,
terms
the terms,
that we
the
use.
film words, the terms that we use. But my God, they're on point.
Yeah.
When a character is less developed, or it's not clear,
Yeah.
it keeps jumping from this to this.
Yeah, they're like,
I hear even an auntie of mine who hasn't even gotten into matric saying, "Ay, lo muntu uyabhora yini yona lena? Izolo bekuyilokho manje." It's because they get it.
They get it.
They just don't have the words,
exactly.
and that's where writers come.
That's where writers
Because
come.
writers develop that.
Exactly.
So people must let writers to write.
I think so too. And that's what we advocate for, to actually allow the writers to be writers. And then we say, let's also talk, Bongi, about regulation in our industry.
Yes.
The fact that writers, we are independent contractors, we're not incorporated in the department. And this one is geared towards the importance of the Writers Guild.
Yes.
Because that's what we're actually trying to do. We're trying to get the industry to be regulated, right? We were talking earlier about knowing your worth.
Yeah.
The fact that you go from one writing room to another. For this particular series, because they respect you as Bongi Ndaba, will offer you 12K an episode of 30 minutes, or 23 minutes now, because we've been cutting down. And then you move on to another one for a different channel, and we're like, no, we only have 7,000 rands, take
Yep.
it or leave it. And sometimes you have to say yes with your experience,
Yeah.
and you are paid the very same amount as an entry-level writer, and you
Yes.
guys are sitting there, and I'm not necessarily saying that we need to pull rank and we need to treat others as if they are better than others.
No, but we do.
But we
because
do need to respect.
But we do. Like, let's say you go your heart is going to be operated.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to Charlotte Matleke, and they're like, oh, here's this vet students who just finished last year. They're going to operate on your heart. I tell you now, you will get up and you will walk. You will be like, no,
exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
But we should. That's the worth, because we always go down and be like, oh, okay, it's fine. It is not fine, guys.
It's not fine.
There's a reason why a person works for years. It's like when you go to a doctor who, like people when they choose, especially women, they're like, oh, I choose my gynae. I love a gynae who's well experienced and whatever. Because you want to have that trust.
Yeah.
And then you come to our industry where it says, your years of experience and your number of work that you've done that has been very successful, you think you're better because they give you that attitude that you think you are better. No, I don't think I'm better. I am better.
Yeah.
I have put in the years.
Thank you.
I've put in the years. I'm not saying I'm better just because I came from Verts last year. No. There's a difference between me and a person, and we're not undermining people who've just finished.
Exactly.
I also, like we were talking about where we started, I had 2 degrees when I was working as a continuity lady. I was down there because I was like, Bongi, you are learning.
Yeah.
With 2 degrees.
Yeah.
And I did that continuity. Then I went up and up and up and up. But today, there's this thing that wants to wash up our experience and say, why do you want this money? Who do you think you are? Then go to a hospital and say to a doctor who's charging you 90,000 to get into theater, and then you say, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
Because that doctor will tell you, get out of my room.
Exactly. So the difference between us and the medical sector is that we are not regulated because we are not seen as important. We're not seen as an integral part of society. And that's why people have the audacity to say, oh, Bongi, if you've got space at Generations, I want to earn extra income. Create a character for me. And that person has never been to drama school or to film school. Or, I've got ideas I can write. So just give me an opportunity and I'll just, that's how we are treated. But for me, I really think it's also how we carry ourselves.
That's how we carry
as writers.
ourselves.
Because first and foremost, I do understand that, and this is a Writers Guild channeling it. I do understand the fact that a lot of writers don't want to join us because they feel like we are a toothless dog. I've been told that.
But mostly they also don't want to be blacklisted because people are telling them don't join the organization.
We're coming to that other part. But they feel like we are a toothless dog. The Writers Guild can't do much for me and what. But the thing is, there is strength in numbers. The minute we take ourselves seriously, like the nurses took themselves seriously, there's a nursing council, the teachers took themselves seriously. They've got unions and stuff like that. The minute we all come together and say, Uchi, this is what we want, then the government is going to listen to us. But the channels are going to listen to us, and we're going to be able to regulate Uchi an entry level, right? Because it's like that elsewhere in the world. If you can go to the Writers Guild of America and Australia and Canada, they even have rates. Where they know which an entry-level writer, this is how much you cannot pay them a minimum. I mean, you cannot pay them under this amount of money. And this is for a low budget. For a medium budget, what? And they specify which that's going to go to streamers and what. This is how much. And for a high budget, this is how much.
It goes back to what we said in the beginning. The structure of education is teaching us to just nanga.
Yes.
So it's very hard for a person to say, let me know my worth.
Yeah.
Because if you are taught as part and parcel business, have you seen business people?
Yeah, they're unapologetic.
They're unapologetic. They seem like they're cocky. They seem like they're arrogant. To us who don't know that world because we don't know our worth, they feel like they think they are better. No. That's how it should be.
That's how it should be.
But that apartheid system of like you are only a worker and you should nanga and you should be grateful that you got a job. You are working at Generations. You are working at this telenovela and that telenovela. You got a job. Be grateful for that. That's what the education is not teaching. Even young people now, young people in the freedom, new democracy of South Africa is not teaching them to know their worth.
Yeah.
And knowing your worth is a business strategy.
It's a business strategy.
We are not given business strategies. So that is why people are afraid to fight for themselves. And the worst thing is that at this day and age, I don't know if people are reading about what is happening in the world. It's breaking down in a way that even that little job that you are holding on to,
yeah, right now that
threatened.
AI is here,
Everything
is becoming robotic.
It's corporations taking over. Even that little job, if the regulation is not proper, even that little job that you think you are protecting is going to be wiped out very soon. And that is why it's important to be in organizations, to force our government, because right now we are not even asking them. We are forcing them to force our government to regulate our industry, because we're going to be wiped out. This is not even like it's a maybe. We are just saying it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Because I don't know what people are watching worldwide. Do they see what's happening worldwide? We're going to be wiped out.
I think so too. So it goes back to like what we're trying to build at the Writers Guild. We're trying to get artists together so that we can actually rethink and reimagine this industry and how it can really benefit all of us.
Yeah.
You know, so that we don't have situations where a writer has died and now we need to make donations and all of that. You know what I'm saying? And people, there's also an assumption that but when they are working, they are making a lot of money. No, it's not true. They think, oh no, now that I'm seeing him on TV. Last night I was watching something that I wrote. Imali yakhona yaphela, I don't know which month, because it probably paid for a month of school fees. You know what I'm saying? So they think now that because you are on TV, it means that you are earning like 100,000 rands per. No, it doesn't work that way, guys. And that's why we need to regulate so that, like the international artists that we have, who are living their best lives. You know, remember the other day we were talking about how if we were living in the US with the amount of work we've put in, where would we be? We would probably be having our yachts. You know, people who are writing for like the big shows, like let me not mention names. They say the writer only needs to write one episode a month, one episode. That's a writer, and they are able to pay their bond. They are able to pay their cars. So they write like 12 scripts in a year. But
as South Africans, and I'm gonna say not being racist or anything, Black South Africans. Can we just trust ourselves as well? Because we do have that thing of like, just trash anybody.
Yes.
Let's just pull them down. Let's pull them down. It's not taking us anywhere. There is a reason that America respects Ryan Murphy. There's a reason why they respect Shonda Rhimes. All the big, the big writers, Lee Daniels, whoever. There is a reason, because those people, if you go back to their history, they started how?
Yeah.
Small.
Even Tyler Perry.
They grew, even Tyler Perry. We respect him, whether you like his shows or not, but you respect him. And that will never happen in South Africa, because in South Africa, the moment you go up, there's people who are waiting with axes and everything to take you down, because who do you think you are? And it's a mentality that is not taking us anywhere, because no one is competing with nobody. You compete with yourself. If that mentality can just disappear, you are not competing with anyone. As a writer, Sizwe, you can never write stories that I write.
Whether I like
because
it or
you
not.
are a different writer. Every person has their own tone, their own style, their own passion, their own whatever. There is no competition.
None whatsoever.
But people, once you go up, it's like, oh, they're too big. Let's pull them down. And that is not taking us anywhere.
It's not taking us anywhere. And without sounding political as well, I'm trying to also be politically correct. But the problem that I'm having with all these scandals that are coming out, even internationally in the US, usually is not usually, actually, all the time it's black people. It's black people, about Didi, Abu Banban, it's black people, Bill Cosby, Abu Banban. But there's also other races that have done more horrendous things. abominations, but we don't hear about them at all. We don't. And I'm not saying I condone, they should be prosecuted, the very same black people. But I'm saying, but we as society have been trained to have black neurosis, to hate ourselves and to hate each other as black people. You know what I'm saying? So also I do think we need to come to a level where we have black excellence as something that we deliberate on.
But and be comfortable with it. Because black excellence is there.
Yeah.
We're just not comfortable with it. When we see it, we want to pull it down.
Yeah.
It's there.
It feels like it's not natural.
We will find a way. It feels like, it shouldn't happen. Because when it's somebody else who's not black, we will accept it.
Yeah. And even in the industry, even in the production space, if you're a black company, we don't think, let's say we've got a line item of 30 million for a production. But because it's Bongi Ndaba Productions, they will give them 11 million. But if someone else comes who is a different skin color, we'll give them the whole money and we'll even apologize and say, hey,
we're sorry, we don't have enough.
Yeah, we wish we could have given you more because of that. And that's also what's making our black producers, our black writers to go down in the country. It's something we need to work on.
For me, as much as we've put all the problems on the table, it's solutions.
Yeah.
What are the solutions?
Yes.
The educational aspect of it also involves the government.
It does.
The regulation part of it is that writer sitting there thinking you don't want to join the Writers Guild because you are afraid of this, because you are whatever. Let me tell you now, it's not a lie. Your job will be wiped out in the near future, very soon. Because anyone who comes to South Africa, they do whatever they want with us. Any channel does whatever they want with us because a regulation is not there.
Yeah.
The moment we have that, you will be like that doctors that we were talking about. A doctor who's been here for 30 years operating people's hearts.
Yeah.
That's why they will charge you 500,000 and you will pay that 500,000 because they've worked for 30 years for that experience.
And you trust that they can
trust that they can do it. So they will charge you that money and now where you go, yes. But also because the regulation allows them to do that.
Yeah.
We don't have the regulation, but here we are as writers not wanting to join.
Yeah, because we are happy with the 15,000 you are getting now per month or whatever. You are happy with it because it favors you because you don't want to be blacklisted. But the repercussion, at what cost?
At what cost? Because it's going to go. You may be getting it now.
Yes.
Trust me, in 2 years' time, you have nothing and you're like, oh my God, what do I do now? Because that's how it is. We really, really, really need to force our government to treat us like the employees, like the creatives, the business people, business thinking kind of people that we are. But also, this I really want to encourage, and we all know that Nigerians have done it. Do our stuff, collaborate and do our stuff, not rely on going to Ncenga out there. Because the client, let me tell you the client who it is the viewer.
That's the thing. That's actually the
Once you have numbers, everybody's going to come to you.
That's the thing. It
doesn't matter which platform you're at. Once you have numbers, if we really, really go the independent route, we can fight the system.
We definitely can.
But because we're afraid and also we like to fight with each other, we collaborate and we fight. we really do.
We do.
We start things and we don't finish them.
And
it's
we let our
problem.
egos get in the way.
Yes.
We let our... Yeah.
The solution is that we do things for ourselves. Because the client, the only client, they can tell you anything else. Let me tell you, the client is a viewer. And I will tell you the proof of why the client is a viewer. If the client was not the viewer, shows will not be cancelled. How many shows are cancelled in this country?
Because
there's shows that are being cancelled right now.
Yeah.
You know why? It's because the viewer has said no. There's shows that only play one season, and the second season you never see it, and the third season you never see it. It's because the viewer has said no.
But for me, it goes to show that do channels actually understand their viewers? or not, because they are the ones who get to tell us, Uti, no, write it like this, and you know it's not going to work, but because you want the money, you do it. You know what
I'm saying we must also take responsibility, because we are in that situation. We are scared to have a voice because we don't know our worth.
But truth be told, sometimes, like, I was in a situation, and I know we're about to close, I was in a situation where I was in a room with I was probably one of the most experienced, right? And I'm storylining, but the head writer is not as experienced. And because you are trying to be what you just say, Guti, you're trying not to be the person who's going to say yes to everything. Then they just get rid of you and they get someone to, you know. And at the end of the day, it boils down to what are my kids going to eat? Because I'm thinking about them. So you can't. It's
the politics of the stomach.
So sometimes, it's the politics of the stomach, because sometimes you have to think about the bottom line.
Which is why we should join Writers Guild, because when there's regulation, no one is just going to kick you out because of their ego.
Yes.
No one is going to do that. But what I'm saying, we are going in a circle because we don't want to do the work. Because what you say, it happens.
All the time.
People are blacklisted.
Yeah.
I'm one of those.
Yeah.
People are blacklisted. But that would not happen if regulation is there. Because if regulation is there, you are protected.
Exactly.
But right now, you are not protected.
No one's protected.
You know.
Even as a producer, producers sometimes think they are protected because they are the ones who get to
be given a project.
Yeah.
You also not, especially these days. And it's going to get worse.
It's going to get worse.
It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse because the economy is lopsided right now. So even the channels are crying with money. So it's going to even be bad for everybody. The crew, whether you are a DOP, you are a director, you are a producer, you are a whatever. Which is why it's important to join this organization.
Yes.
And let's stand together. Don't fear something that you haven't seen. Fear takes you nowhere because you're going to live in this fear. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Because even the opposite does happen, Sizwe.
Exactly.
If you're going to come to a room of a certain head writer and you just like, yes, they would fire you for that.
That's the thing.
So what's the point?
You know what I'm saying?
So you might as well talk.
So
because they would fire you. They're like, this writer. I've heard the head writers like, those writers are so useless and whatever. And they get rid of them because they want
people who are going to challenge
people who are going to challenge, people who are going to come with ideas, people who are thinkers. So it doesn't matter how you work.
Matter.
If we are not protected, we are all screwed. That's just it.
And for me, my advice to us as the industry, and that's my opinion, is take it, leave it, whatever, is that if we could sit down as an industry, the producers, the writers, the editors, like all these different bodies, if we could sit down and assess what do writers actually want, what do producers actually want, and we could actually come together, but they call it a bargaining council or whatever. If we could just really talk amongst each other and then have a document that we can send to the government and say, this is what we as an industry want. The reason why it's not signed yet is because there is so much contention. We are still batting our heads against each other. So I really think that we need to hear each other out, and then after hearing each other out, then acknowledge, okay, this is what the writers want. This is what the post-production people, the editors, are complaining because they say they're at the bottom of the food chain.
Yes.
They only come on board once the budget has been blown. You know, Tina, the writers are complaining because they don't see value in development. They think they can just chop and
just write
whatever.
A script in 2 days.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And the actors are complaining because people are replaceable. They want you to do things. If you don't want to, bye-bye, we'll get somebody to come on board. So everyone really has something to lose. Let's come together as an industry.
But also let's talk to our government. And this is serious.
Yes.
And I'm talking to DSEC, which currently our minister is Gayton Mackenzie. So they can enjoy the thing of like, oh, an actor was hungry or an actor died and we contributed and whatever. And I've said this to Gayton Mackenzie in one of our few meetings that we've had with him. And I said, if you regulate the industry, if everything is put in place, You won't be a need to say, I buried this actor, I gave money to this family, I gave food money to this other actor who was on social media with a card saying I'm hungry.
Yes.
You wouldn't need to do that. It will not happen. Because you don't see doctors on social media saying, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
You don't see lawyers going and saying, I'm hungry. You don't see other industries, professions coming and saying, I'm hungry. It's always the artists.
Yeah.
It's always the people in our industry. Then the government itself, Cyril Ramaphosa talking to you now, whether you hear this or not, I hope somebody gives it to you. Think about that. Are you guys being entertained by artists who are standing on social media saying, I'm hungry? Are you entertained? How does that land in your ears? Because all of that, it has to do with the fact that we are not regulated. It's gonna keep coming. But if you regulate and you do the right things, I will not have to come to government when I'm 85 and be like, oh, I'm hungry, or whatever, I won't have to do that.
And now we have to feel sorry for you because you've been entertaining us on Generations or wherever. And which wasn't even paying you the money.
About you and whatever. Teachers, they know I 65 or 60, I don't know the age. I retire, there's a package of mine.
Yes.
Then I can live through that.
Yes.
I have money or I get monthly. My mom was a teacher and she used to get money until she passed away at 85. She used to be paid every month. And those are the things that we are talking about.
Exactly.
But it seems like our government is entertained by the poorness and the exploitation of creatives. It's like it's an entertainment for them. Because I'm asking myself, why don't you just do it? But what is holding you from just doing it and listening to the industry, what the industry is saying? Because it doesn't take from anybody.
It doesn't.
We're not taking money from channels. We just say, that money, it must filter down
and it must go to where it's supposed to go.
Yes, because if the channel is getting 1 billion, I'm not saying the 1 billion must come to me as a writer. From that 1 billion, a writer must get something. Yeah. This one must get whatever. Something fair. Yeah. We're not asking to be like, we're going to be millionaires tomorrow. No. We're just asking for being protected. For me, it seems like our government is being entertained by the same story of artists. Somebody gets ill. Oh, now they don't have money to go to a doctor. Oh, now they die.
Social media,
oh, now we have to give the family money. And the family sucks up now to the minister and be like, oh, the minister helped us so much. I don't want my family to say that to you as a minister. I want my family to bury me in peace. And I'm gone. They don't need to make an announcement.
And to actually be afforded the privacy.
The privacy. I don't need the announcement and the display of Department of Arts and Culture saying, oh, we gave them 100,000. I'm like, that is entertainment. You are being entertained by our lives. Because I don't understand why the government is not sorting it out.
But it goes back to the fact, what is the value of the cultural and creative industries? The government still does not see where we are. They just see us as an extramural activity, as something, as a side gig, as something that they can live without. And yet we are the backbone of culture. We are the backbone of society. Everything is dependent upon us. And that's why we need to be prioritized. That's why we need to be seen. Because if you can even look at the contribution that we make as the cultural and creative industry to the GDP of the country, it is a lot. It's beyond like before kuzodlala a sports game, kuzozaba abantu bazocula, bazoyenza. No, it's beyond that. It's beyond whenever they are having gatherings and what before Parliament opens, there's gonna be a poet that's gonna say a poem. There's gonna be this and that, and they're gonna play this music. No, those are the side things. But the actual, but the actual thing is we need to build this industry, and once we build the industry and we make it autonomous, we won't necessarily need all these things that are happening that you mentioned.
And it's an industry that creates more jobs than mining, by the way.
It does.
I want to say that again. Our industry creates more jobs than mining. So I don't know why we're being undermined by our own audience. Okay. We will wrap up now. Thank you, Sizwe. That was a robust discussion. And that is our episode of
the scope of the
Script
industry.
happens, and we were talking about the scope of the industry and how things are. We hope that you got something out of it, some help, some food for thought. Yes, writers, think of yourselves, some food for your brain to chew.
And I hope that they put the QR code of the Writers Guild for you to join in our screen now. So that you can actually look at that QR code and see how you can actually join and be part of us. It's not expensive, believe me, it's not expensive, and you don't have to have credits behind your name. Even if you are still starting out, we've got something for you. Even if you are
a student,
need whatever, we've got something for you. If you're a student, we've got something for you. Or maybe you can just be a patron who just loves the arts. We've got something for you as well. We've got weekly workshops. We're always training. We're always talking about robust discussions like this one. Some of them are physical. Most of them are online. So join the Writers Guild.
I want to thank you, Sizwe, for having this discussion. And Sizwe represents advocacy in Writers Guild.
Yes.
So when we talk about regulation, that's something that he's very passionate about. That's what he works on. That's what he holds meetings with different people. Trust me, and he's doing this work for free because we don't have the money to pay the council members to do this job. And it's a lot of reading. I think now he feels like he's a lawyer, or he's getting there. Because we have
might as well just graduate.
Yeah, just graduate from law school, from Writers Guild, because we read a lot of things that need to be analyzed and discussed and
go to places where sometimes we don't even want to go there. We attend in Durban, we're there, in Cape Town, we're there. If something's happening
with our own money.
With our own money. We're always traveling around.
Yeah. So please, if you are a writer, as Sizwe said, any stage, join the Writers Guild. And let's all, any artist, actors, crew, DOPs, directors, let's remove the fear. It's not taking us anywhere.
Exactly.
Let's own this industry and remove the fear. I would say it again. Remove the fear. It's not taking us out anywhere. Actually, it's crippling our industry. And thank you. This is Script Happens, and it's Bongi Ndaba. Thank you so much for listening.